Hey guys, what's going on? Today I am going to be installing OSX Lion, and yes, I'm going to get something out of the way right now. I know a lot of people like to call it OS 10, even Apple calls it OS 10. I just think OSX runs off the tongue a little bit smoother, so that's what I like to call it. That's just me. So let's get started. Now, this is going to be a whole new experience installing an operating system like this because Apple only allows you to install it from the App Store, as opposed to a normal operating system. Every other operating system I've ever installed, be it Windows 95, 98, XP, ME, Windows 7, Windows Vista, even Snow Leopard when I had to do a Hackintosh, it's a disk. And this is only available from the App Store, so this is even going to be a new experience for me. If you hear my dogs barking in the background, just ignore them. They're probably a little freaked out that there's so many cats in here. Snow Leopard, Lion. I can understand how they'd be a little bit freaked out. So let's get started, I believe. And again, this is going to be going through the same speed as me. We're going to go to the App Store and go ahead and download it. So going down here to the App Store, and yes, I have the background specifically chosen to demonstrate the transition from Snow Leopard in the background to Lion that we're going to download here in the App Store. So you're going to see everything as I see it. Alright, let's click on this. $29.99. Alright, 30 bucks. Not bad. Let's go ahead and buy it. Okay, now you see my Apple ID there. You see my email address. Oh no. Now that you know my password is ... I hope nobody steals my account. Oh, and there we go, downloading. So just like that, it appears that it bounced down to my dock here, and it looks like this is the progress bar, and I will come back to you. I'm going to cut the video now. I will come back to you when it's finished downloading, and we'll get ahead to installing it, and then I will give my thoughts on some of the features. As I'm waiting for it to install just a little bit here, let me give you my thoughts on it before I have installed. I'm not particularly thrilled with all of the features. I think Mission Control is just a fancy expose, but you know, it does make things a little bit cleaner. Launchpad I really couldn't care about. It's just like an iOS device with all your apps there. I mean, I might use it, I might not. I'm really interested in the new Mail. I'm really interested in the new iCal. Those are some that I use, and of course, you know, all the other tweaks. They have 250 of them, as they claim, though some of them are a little bit of a stretch, like some accessibility features that I know I'm never going to use. But right now, I think it justifies about a $30 price tag, but I don't know if it would justify a full operating system price tag, like, you know, some ridiculous Windows price, like $100 for an operating system. So, again, I'll come back after this is downloaded. I'll tell you how long it takes to download. You can see right here that it's about 7:28 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And when I come back, I will tell you how long it's been, get to installing it so we can go through that together. And I'll tell you about those new features and what I think about them. I'm back. Stay tuned. It finished downloading in just a little under an hour, about 54, 55 minutes. So that's not bad for 4 gigabytes. I'm using Roadrunner cable internet in case anybody's wondering. So here it is, OSX Lion. To set up the installation of Mac OS X 10.7, click Continue. Simple enough. I don't know how well ScreenFlow is going to go through the operating system update, so you might lose me if at any point I do have to cut off the video or it cuts off because it's an OS install. Then I'll get to you on the other side, as they say. So here we go. Continue. Agree to the terms of service. Yep, those look like pretty good terms. Oh no, I didn't read them. I hope I don't get turned into a human Sentai pad for our South Park fans out there. OS X will be installed on the disk Macintosh HD. Sounds good to me. Oh no, everybody can see my name that's on my channel. Preparing to install. Your computer will restart automatically. Now, as a precautionary step, I'm going to stop the recording so I don't lose the recording when it reinstalls. So, I'm going to stop it, but let me just mention something. I didn't see any option for a clean install there. So, you probably have to do that a little bit differently. I'm kind of rushing now because I see it's going to restart in about 20 seconds. So I'm going to cut the recording here. I will see you on the other side.
Haha, you thought I was going to quit because I couldn't use ScreenFlow during this install. And so did I, but then I realized I had my iPhone sitting right here. So now you can actually see the install, though I'm not going to keep you around for this whole install because it's probably going to be exceedingly boring. But what happened is the computer restarted, and here we are installing Mac OS X, and we have about 32 minutes left. Let's see if we can focus in on that. About 32 minutes. Will it actually take that long? I doubt it. Usually it's a little bit over-exaggerated when it comes to installing these. At least it was when I installed Snow Leopard on the Hackintosh. So when it's done, I will take you through the next couple steps of installing Lion. Alright, okay guys, something I just want to point out real quick. When it is installing, your computer will still turn the screen off. So don't be freaked out if your screen goes off. This is actually the second time it's went off. And the current time right now is right about 8:53, so it looks like it will actually take as long as they quoted, but that's okay. Let's see, I'm just going to click the mouse here, and we have about 7 minutes remaining. So in about 7 minutes, I will see you again. Okay, now we are at 9 o'clock, just about 8:59 perhaps, and it just restarted after the install bar filled up. So let's see what happens. We're at the boot screen now. And this is probably a bit longer than your normal boot because of the new OS.
Okay guys, I am back here and Lion is fully installed now. There was a little setup assistant that appeared on the screen when the install was all done, and it basically just showed you the reverse scrolling and how it was on by default. Basically, instead of scrolling your finger down on the mouse to go down on a page, you scroll it up on the mouse as if there was a sheet of paper or a PlayStation 3 game on your hand and you wanted to physically move it up. That's what they call their natural scrolling. Like this, your finger would be doing this to the page. And I didn't like it, so I turned it right off. I tried to record that, but ScreenFlow didn't like OSX Lion a little bit. There was an update, so hopefully this will be recording now. And I've got to try out these new features, and I will get back to you. A couple things that I've noticed when I was messing around here, though. First of all, I had to switch back over to Safari as my browser. I switch browsers like every other weekend. Not really. I've had Firefox for a while now because Safari was giving me issues. But now I'm back to Safari. Why? One of the new gestures that has changed is it used to be on Firefox a two-finger swipe on the Magic Mouse. Two-finger swipe would move you to the previous page, and in the other direction would move you forward, like the back and forward buttons, and you could just swipe back and forth. Now that doesn't work in Firefox because they haven't updated. Maybe when they update I'll go back to it, but Safari, it does work. It doesn't work with two fingers. Now what you do is one finger. You swipe back and forth with one finger to do your previous and next pages. But I'll explain a little bit more about that in just a second. I want to try out some of these new features, give you my thoughts on them, and change this background from a snow leopard to a lion. So I will be back soon, and we'll get this wrapped up. Okay, I have had time to play around with the new features of OSX Lion, and look at that, I have a lion on my background now. I actually don't even like that picture as much as the snow leopard picture, but this isn't about the background pictures. This is about the new features of Lion and what I think about them. So I've had time to mess with each one, not very intricately, but I'm just going to give you guys kind of demonstrations, some of the new things and my thoughts on them. Some good things, some bad things. I'm going to kind of go across my dock here and show you some of the new features that way. Okay, Finder. Take a look at the new Finder. If we look at the Finder, it now has an All My Files feature instead of just opening up in, I believe it opened up in your username before, like mine, DarthGamer138. Now, this is interesting that it has All My Files here, because I'm not sure if I like that. It might help if I'm searching for a particular file, but it kind of looks a little bit messy to me. I don't really need to see all of my files when I open up the Finder. I think I might have preferred, I believe it started on your name. I believe that's what it started on. But that's just a small change in Finder, not a huge deal. I really haven't had enough time to decide if I like it or not. I do like all my files though, however, if it brings up a save dialog where I want to save things, because if I search for a spotlight thing, like I usually save all of my files when I'm working on them in what's called a thaw space, I can just type it and bam, it finds it pretty fast. And that it works out pretty good if it's in some sort of a save dialog. But other than that, kind of indifferent about the changes to Finder. Moving on now. Launchpad, the thing that I said I probably wouldn't use or wouldn't like. I have to actually take back that statement a little bit, because let me open it up here. Okay, now this is going to show you all of your apps on your machine in an iOS type view. And I actually kind of like it due to the fact that it has visual folders that you can make just like an iOS device. And I've named a few here. I have a folder for web browsers, and I click on it, Safari and Firefox. For media players, QuickTime, VLC, iTunes, and the DVD player, and so on. So for Microsoft Office, if I need something like that, I can go back, exit out of Launchpad here. I say, hey, I want to go, make a Microsoft Word document. Open up Launchpad, and there we go, Microsoft Word right there. I'll go ahead and open up Microsoft Word. So it's actually not as bad or as useless of a feature as I wanted. It kind of cleans things up. That's basically the theme of Lion, it seems. It cleans a lot of things up. Makes it easier. Takes out a couple steps, however you want to say it. It's going to take a little while because it's the first time booting on this OS. But here's Microsoft Word. Alright, so mission control, not terrible. I actually think it'll be a little bit more useful than I thought it was going to be. If you compare mission control with, say, going to your applications folder, you can see that instead of having it all jammed in a screen like this, it gives you a lot more space with a nice full screen layout. Whoops, clicked the wrong button. With a nice full screen layout like this. So it's actually pretty cool. And then a one-finger swipe will get you to your other pages, just like as if it were an iPhone screen. Alright, next, mission control, which I accidentally clicked a little bit earlier. I'm not even going to click the mission control button. One of the gestures added is a two-finger double tap on the mouse. Well, you can't do it. You cannot do that, though. You cannot do mission control. This is one thing I've noticed. You cannot do mission control from inside the Launchpad, though, so keep that in mind. So go back to the desktop here. Two-finger double tap. And this brings up all of your stuff that you have open on your computer. It basically combines expose and spaces. So I have all my desktops there on the top. If you take a look up here, all the desktops. If I go over to the right, I can create a new desktop, which used to be a new space. And here is all of the windows open in the current desktop. And you can highlight anything you want open, just like this Microsoft Word document, click it and open it up. So it's a combination of expose and spaces, basically. Now, one of the features they toted about mission control, one that they didn't really tote, but everybody asked for was, hey, in my spaces I want different backgrounds for each space. Wouldn't that be a cool feature? Yes, it would. They added that, but there's a big problem with it in my eyes. Okay, I'm going to go over to this other desktop here, and I'm going to change the background. Okay, the background I'm going to put on it is this background right here, which is the inside of an iMac. How appropriate. There, you can see the inside of what my iMac looks like pretty darn accurately. The disk drive is a tad bit low compared to where it is in real life, but it's a pretty accurate representation. So that's cool. You can have, and then I can go over to this other desktop that I had and, switch between the two of them, see different backgrounds. The problem is, by the way, how I'm doing that is a two-finger swipe left and right. That's how I'm going in between the desktops, which is a nice feature. I'm glad they added that. The problem with the changing the background is once you close this background right here, now I don't have that space anymore, that desktop, I don't have it anymore. Once you close it, when you open up another one, it's like you never even made any change. What I wish they would have done is every time you create a new space and change the background with it, every subsequent time you make that space, I wish your selected background would stay. Like if you always have your second desktop as the inside of the iMac picture and you always have your third desktop as maybe The snow leopard picture, when you open them up again, when you create those backgrounds again, I wish when you create those desktops again, I wish the backgrounds would stay. But, you can't get everything you want. Again, 2-finger swipe to go between the open spaces and or desktops. Because they call them desktops now, it's not spaces. Spaces are gone. There's no more expose either. They've combined them into mission control. Okay, moving on here. Like I said, I had to go back to Safari because of the fact that Firefox hasn't been updated to a gesture forward and backwards button. What I'm talking about that is, let's go to a couple of sites. I like to go to Game Winners, and then after that, I'm done with Game Winners, so I'm going to go to YouTube. And then after that, I'm going to go to eBay. Actually, let's not go to eBay. Let's go to Google. I just want it to be quick, and sometimes eBay has a lot of pictures on their pages. Okay, so 3 things here. Google, YouTube, Game Winners, all right? Now, I can go through these pages like this with a 1-finger swipe. With a 1-finger swipe. And it follows natural movement, however fast you do it. That's how fast the pages will go through. And that's great. But they didn't incorporate that into Firefox. I understand that that's not Apple's problem, that's Firefox developers' problem. But it seems like they fixed a lot of the issues that I was having with Safari, one of them being it wouldn't work. Yes, big issue, but what would happen is I'd enter about one web page, and then when I would go to another one, it would just hang indefinitely. So that's why I had to switch from Safari to Firefox. But they seem to have fixed that. They seem to have changed their architecture around and made it a lot better, so I've moved to Safari now. That's one of the big things they've done with Safari. You can also have a reader tab where you can save things that you want to read on there. And that's just some of the things I've messed around with Safari. But I really do like that smooth forward and backwards. I think that is a pretty cool feature to go forward and backwards. Because this way what you can do is, if you're not sure you want to go back to the page, you can take a quick peek, like, oh, what was the last page I was on? Oh, YouTube, yeah, no, I don't want to go there. Like this. So that's a pretty cool feature. Next is Mail. Do I have anything in my inbox? No, because I cleared it out to make this video. Mail, love the things that they've done with Mail. The new search feature is great. It really works well and it works fast. It just makes searching a lot easier. They've also cleaned up the view here, so now you just get your inbox where it used to look like this, where you can see your inbox, your trash on my Mac, Gmail, and such like that. But you can hide that now to, again, clean it up. That seems to be the theme of this OS, cleaning things up. And you can search for things like, let's just say YouTube. Okay. And you get all your YouTube stuff here. And that's basically all I have to say about Mail. iCal. This is where they've made some big updates. One of my favorites being the natural language event entries. Okay, now you can do the same thing you do with Safari and go through your calendar pages by doing the 1-finger swipe, and it's got a nice natural transition there. You can see some of my things that I've done here recently. And, like, for example, summer lessons. I teach lessons as I'm lifeguarding to little kids, teach them how to swim. Now, one of the best things that they've done, though, is natural language events that you can add, alright? Now, my birthday happens to be December 1st, so if I wanted to add that, I'll say up here, my BDAY DEC1ST at 12 a.m. Alright, hit enter. And there you go. It jumps to December, creates my B-Day event, 12 a.m. And it's as simple as that. Instead of going there and clicking on it and your event and the time and stuff like that, you can use natural language, which I think is pretty darn cool and pretty darn useful, and it works pretty well. Pistol permit class here on the 7th, apparently. What? Why the hell does it say Christmas and then Christmas observed? I'm pretty sure a lot of people observe Christmas on the 25th. But anyway, now what I'd like to show you is the full screen apps that they've touted so much. Full screen apps. Okay, let's take a look at that. You press this button in the top right, get your app full screen. It's perfect. for apps like Calendar and apps that actually take advantage of it. This is another big problem that I have with this. Not all apps take advantage of it. You can do it in most of the apps, but they don't actually have a reason to do it. iCal, it uses it pretty well. Like you can see, I got all this stuff on one big window here. It looks like a big calendar sheet. If I need to add something, I go to it and add it. You hover your mouse up to the top, press the full screen button again, it goes away. That's great for apps that make use of it. Apps that do not make use of it are where it falls a little short. Open up Safari again. Let's go to Google. Let's go to Apple. Oh, Apple opened up in the back here. Okay, you see where all the text and such is located on this page? Okay, fine. Let's go to full screen. Ooh, look at that. It did, yes, you're right, it did open up to full screen, but look at all this white space here. That was the exact problem I had before with their full screen thing where you could stretch the window around. It's useless with a screen this big. It would only be useful on a smaller screen like one of the 13-inch MacBook Airs. All this white space doesn't really do much for me, so I can't see me using full screen apps there. Another place where that doesn't work is iTunes. And that's what it looks like when it's not in full screen. When it is in full screen, you have all your songs and information here, and then about 47,000 miles of white space. Useless. Not quite sure how I'm liking that. Matter of fact, I'll say it, I don't like that. They need to do something with this white space over here. I don't know what they could do with it, you know, maybe have some album artwork over there, whatever. But, you know, if you're going to do full screen apps, don't just make it the same size information and have the rest white space. I don't think that's using it to its full potential. All right, let's see how long I've been recording here. For about 13 minutes. It's okay, I've got a few more things to talk about. Okay, another thing I'd like to mention with iTunes here brings me to a point of it's not as seamless as Apple would have you believe upgrading to Lion. Now, what I mean by that is before I upgraded to Lion, I had an update in Snow Leopard yesterday that was an iTunes update. Okay, I believe it was iTunes 10.4, something like that. So I updated to it. I always do the system update when it's available. Then I installed Lion today, and I got into Lion, went to open iTunes. First thing that popped up, one of the iTunes files was created by a newer version of iTunes than is included with Lion. So the update yesterday was negated by the new OS today. That's one of the problems that was done. Another couple features, our programs just flat out not working. I know my VMware Fusion's having a few issues. I mentioned Firefox is having some issues. That's not technically Apple's fault, but it's not really as seamless as they would say. A lot more seamless than a Windows transition, though. Any Windows transition I've ever had, be it from XP to Vista or Vista to 7, I seem to have a lot more issues there. So, you know, I'm not going to cut down the operating system or Apple because of that. Address book, they've changed a few. They changed how it looks. Not really that big of a deal. I got some personal addresses in there, so I'm not going to show that. Other than that, that's basically the main features that they're touting here and my thoughts on them. So again, I'll say this: I believe it was worth $30 for cool things like Mission Control. There you can see all my apps open. I have that blank desktop in case I ever need to just wipe everything. The gestures, like I said, if I go into let's open up Safari and then go to Google. Now, see, what I just did there presents just a little more problem. I just tried to do a two-finger swipe, which I'm used to because that's how it was in the last Safari and Firefox. But now that two-finger swipe doesn't change your web pages; it changes your spaces, your desktop spaces. Right? If I want to do a back in the Safari window, I have to do a one-finger swipe. So little things to get used to, be it a good thing, be it a bad thing. Little things to get used to. I do like the gestures. Like I said, I do like Mission Control. I think Launchpad's actually going to be a little bit more useful than I thought, but it does come with its share of problems, and let's face it, it's not that tremendously big of an update. So, worth the $30. If you don't have it, it's not the end of the world. I suggest that you update because, you know, it's always good to be up to date with these kind of things. And for the love of God, why is my name all of a sudden appearing up here? I don't know why, but that's the first thing I noticed when I booted into Lion. My name all of a sudden appears in the right-hand corner. And I don't believe it did that before. So go out and get it for the 30 bucks. If you're not going to get it for the 30 bucks, you're not going to be missing a tremendous amount. And that's about all I have to say about Lion. For those interested in how long it took, a little less than an hour to download, about a half hour to install, so about an hour and a half, you'll be all done if you have Roadrunner. Of course, it'll depend on your computer and your internet connection and such like that, but go ahead and get it. And that's my thoughts on Lion. I hope this video helped you out. You guys have a great day.